Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we are getting a pullback across the board. Something we talked about, marching back up into the retracement levels. Eventually, this thing's going to break to the downside. So the real test is this a 1-2, and now we're continuing higher? Or are we going down to the bull market support band, then continuing higher? So that'll be basically what we're going to look for is, will the bottom come in? I came out saying it's probably likely that the bottom did come in. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's totally possible. But if you look at wave 4 and then you look at wave 2, pretty different in size there. I mean, they don't have to be exactly in size. You do have rules of alternation, but just proportional. It doesn't look too favorable. And plus, the fractals we've been taking a peek at. For example, this fractal right here, the one that I flipped upside down, the one that we found back over here in the bear market. So we're potentially doing this and we get another wave to the upside, right? So we talked about that as well. So if you look here, you can see how nicely it starts to match up, and you can kind of see where we are now. You can see, and this is what we talked about yesterday, the price having a dip, right? You can see the price shooting up, and then we start to curl over, right? Price going up, we're starting to curl over. I would have liked to see it get a little bit higher, kind of like this one did. It got back into this zone, which would be the equivalent of getting back into this zone and then curl over, right? But, it is what it is. So we'll see if we, have a pullback. I mean, here's the low here. We could technically come all the way back down and retest the lows before going up, right? So anytime you get a 1-2, oftentimes the wave 2 goes really deep before turning back up, back to the upside. So that would be nice to see something like that. So that's one fractal we're keeping an eye on. Again, we have the interesting part about it, right, is this here and then the slightly higher high, right? Same with the fractal. And then we also have the fractal back over here, right here. So if you look at this fractal, and let me just take a bars pattern here, you can kind of see the similarities in this one as well. So, which one do you like better? This one here, the green fractal, has been shared a couple times, on YouTube, and I've seen it and I like it. You see how this high comes up and we break it? This high is actually lower. So there is a slight anomaly in it, but I do like this here a lot better than the fractal that I shared. But it's nice to have two that sort of are, in confluence with each other. So whatever the case may be, both fractals are sort of suggesting that the low is in. That's the whole point, right? If the low gets broken and we do go down to the bull market support band, then, when you look at something like XRP, you would then hope that its low wouldn't get broken, right? You would want it to come down, maybe even get really low down here before curling up, right? It'll make you feel like it's going and going, and it'll take a long time. Like, see how this took, it was real quick. It was like, bam, it was over. a lot of times they'll make you feel like day after day after day after day, and then it just grinding and grinding. And then it makes you feel like, okay, we're going to dump. But then right when you get back down here, it starts to swoop up. A lot of times that happens, right? I've shown examples of that before. Here's like a quick example, right? Where we're coming up and we're going down, down, down. We come all the way back down, almost to the low here. I mean, there's examples all over the place. Here's another example here, right? We shoot to the upside, it's looking good, but then we sort of drizzle down. Here's another one here, right? Where we shoot down pretty fast. We come back up and then we sort of correct down without breaking out the low. So that's kind of what we want to see in XRP. And here's a good one here. This is probably a better example. See how quick this was? It came all the way down and then it got bought right back up. It came up, right? Bumped into the bull market support band, and then it came down, 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 and then it finally finished, right? So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We sort of had this bull flag here, right? So this downward shape. And then it eventually came back to the upside. So that's the hope, right? If we hold above. So it is, yet to be seen if we are going to break the low or not. But again, I came out and I said we're probably going to hold it. Looking at, let's go back to Bitcoin here. I'm just following this fractal and seeing how, we're starting to shape up. I really like the fractal in this sort of area in here. So, but you can see, here's the low, right? And it came all the way down to like 60K, right? According to the fractal, if you were to line it up pretty nicely there. So that would be sort of the idea there. What would be interesting, right? You can see how it swoops over. It would be interesting to see if we swooped over, right? Made a lower or higher low, and then all of a sudden just wick like a flash wick, like something like this, right? Something quick, where it just tags it and then boom, it's off to the races. We do have the Hong Kong ETF, I think, and the Ethereum ETF. It's going live in, I think, a couple days. So that's a good news. We had some interesting news with XRP. It seems like they're, hashing out the settlement and things like that. Hopefully it ends soon. They're thinking probably July or August. So whatever side loses will probably make an appeal, and then that appeal will go to an even higher court. But whatever the ruling is will be the law of the land. And I think, any settlement being over with, right, is good for all of crypto. And if we're in the middle of a bull run, right, Bitcoin breaking out and altcoins are pumping, right, and then we get that news, it could be a really good thing. And I think it will be. And the interesting part about it is when XRP was deemed not a security, I mean, we pumped about 100%, 100+% in one day, right? But that was in the middle of a bear market. So if we're in a bull market, right, to me, it would be hopefully a lot more than that, right? And I think we still have a lot of good news coming down the pike. So with that being said, looking at the Bitcoin fractal, understanding where we are near the bull market support band, we also have the XRP fractal, right? Where we have a rise, right? A crash, a retrace, we go down for reaccumulation, and then we're going sideways, sideways, sideways. Boom, we broke the low, we grabbed the liquidity, and then boom, off to the races. So that's kind of what's happening here. If you look closely, we have the same type of thing that's occurring, right? You can see the price did break the low right here. So if you look at it, the same type of fractal, right? The same sense of like that. We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace. We come down into reaccumulation, right? We build our base, right? Then we build a second base in reaccumulation, right? Going sideways, sideways, boom, we slice right through it. We grab the liquidity. So hopefully that next step is to be on our way, right? We do have all of the waves necessary for it to, wrap up here. I mean, we got an A, we have a B, we have a C, right? 1, 2, 3, we have a D, and then 1, 2, 3, we have an E, right? So it was interesting because people thought, and including myself, that wave E could be a triangle. It still can be, right? Or it's probably, a complex WXY with an interesting X wave. So you have W, right? So first of all, any move in a contracting triangle, you need 3 waves, right? 3 waves to make it up. So you need 3 in A, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 in B, 1, 2, 3. 3 in C, 1, 2, 3. And then we have 3 in D, 1, 2, and 3. And now we need 3 in E, right? So we have it, right? We have it. We have 1, right? With, so this would be a W, and then this whole thing would be an X, right? So W, right, come down, and then we have 3 up for X, and then we come down for Y. So it would appear that, if this is the case, we would come up, right, and then maybe make one more low, potentially, but I don't really see it. Now, if we do, so be it. It is what it is, right? I'm looking at, 40, between 37 and 40 cents or so. But essentially, we want 3 waves. So we have 1, right? This is 2, and now we have 3, right? So we do have that third wave. So 1, 2, 3 for wave E, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it from a wave perspective for XRP. We did, yesterday and the day before, I said we're probably, heading up to the bull market support band. That's exactly what we did, right? We shot to the downside, came up, went sideways a bit. We worked our way up to the bull market support band. I actually took a trade somewhere right in here as we were breaking out, but I didn't take my profits. I wanted to see, because I don't mind if it's a break even, my stop right in here. I wanted to see if we can make one more high, just because some of the coins look like like Ethereum might need another push to the upside. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I would like to see one more push to the upside. But if we start working our way back down, then you just cut it, and as long as you don't lose money, you're fine. But for me, it's not about trading, little things like that. Just did it for fun. For me, it's more about investing, hodling. Like I've always said, 90% is hodl, 90% investing, 10% trading, and then that 10% is about 8% swing trading, right? And then the 2% for daily trading. So, but yeah, if we do come down here, it could be also a diagonal, right? Which could make sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we come all the way down for that wave 2, 1, and then we come down for 2, right? So this might just be a pullback before that bigger swing to the upside. But we'll keep an eye on it and monitor that situation. But for now, we do have a 3-wave shape in XRP, right? I mean, if you kind of look at this, by the way, check this out. Look at this. Does that look familiar to you? Doesn't that look interesting? Right? This is the Theta fractal, remember? Look at this. We have the move to the upside, right? We came down in a descending triangle. We swept the lows, right? So then it would appear like it would need to come back up. So take a mental screenshot of that and look at this. This is actually the older thumbnail here. You can kind of see the same thing. We came up, we took out the lows. So here's the actual fractal from Bitcoin, right? You can see it came up, it came down, it tagged the lows, and then you can see a little pullback here. The difference with this one is, you didn't come back down to retest the lows. So when I was comparing it to Theta, right, you will get little pullbacks along the way, but this green pathway is the direction, right? I mean, even if we come all the way back down to retest, the breakout area of these candles in here, it still would be applicable to the fractal. So here's the XRP price on the 10-minute chart, and you get these interesting wave patterns, right? Again, psychology, human behavior, it's all the same, right? If you look at a fractal from 1937, right, it's the same type of behavior as today, right? So according to that fractal, we came down, right? Maybe we get a pullback, but what we want to see, right? This is just for fun. This is not, I'm just kind of giving you an example here. What we want to see is we want to flag out and then continue higher. So something like that, right? Now, is that going to happen? Again, it's the 10-minute chart. It's not too much to emphasize really, but we do have a 3-wave shape, which is important, right? So we do have this move to the upside, and it was a pretty sharp move, right? And then I would say that's probably 5, right? And then we have A, B, and now we're getting C. So the question is C finished in this wave? Maybe, maybe not. There's always that chance for one more low, right? Because a lot of times you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But as long as the third wave isn't the smallest, it could be considered okay, right? So it could be either a 1, 2 with a small third, 4 with an extended fifth, but usually it's not that. Usually it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we get 3, right? And then we flag out for 4. We could come down for 5, but it's looking pretty bullish, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back up to 54 cents here. Remember, this is the small time frame when I say that, right? So we'll see if we can get some rejection in here, then pull back, then continue higher. But again, short-term analysis is always a hit and a miss. But anyways, I think, when you zoom out, and that's what I encourage everybody to do on this wave here, we do have a massive liquidation event across the board, right? So the order books got flipped, all the leverage got wiped out. We had a nice wick in here, right? And now we're holding steady in a base, and now we're starting to break away from it. So it's possible we can come down and back test it, right? Or if this is a 1, 2, 3, we could get 1, 2, and 3 back down. So there's a couple different things that could occur, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then come back down before ultimately, hopefully, going higher. And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. You know, with the price of Bitcoin, we had a pretty quick dump, and you can see why that is. So a lot of times when you have like a channel or like a falling wedge, I mean, that's a rising wedge right there. So, you know, when you have these rising wedges, you know, when you're overlap, basically the waves are overlapping with each other. And then you also have, let's see, do we have bearish divergence? No, but we're starting to get hidden bullish divergence, which is good. But essentially, you know, this is a diagonal, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I don't really like it too much, just because, you know, it didn't break, you know, wave 3 didn't break above, and then you have this anomaly here. It would make sense if it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, but it took out the low. So let's just call it a rising wedge. So usually these rising wedges come all the way back down to about here, right somewhere in that box in there. They kind of curl over, they grab some, they basically make a higher low, right, in a 3-wave shape before continuing higher. Now, there's always a chance that if it's, you know, impulsing pretty strongly, we can lose that low and then test the bull market support band. But whatever the case may be, right, we don't want the altcoins, a lot of them, to lose their bull market support band. So when I go to, let's go to Theta now. You know, you can see Theta is in a perfect position here, right? I mean, you know, again, following that that fractal where we came up, right? We had this sort of descending triangle. We came down. We beautifully hit the bull market support band. We came up. We're bumping our heads down in here, to be expected. So whatever Bitcoin does, right, if it does come down and make another low, we really want to see Theta make a higher low or revisit the low, right, before continuing high. We don't want to break down. If we do, it's okay. It's just going to take a lot longer to recover, right? It's going to take a lot longer to recover. So then we're looking at the fractal being an invalidated. We sort of lost the support of the bull market support band. But, you know, when you look at it from that way, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, and then C, right? And then we should have a massive pump to the upside, all because that would shape into a 1, 2, 1, 2. And if we lose that, then we're playing with fire. So not gonna discuss that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but we're not even close to that. So just kind of throwing out, you know, these different possibilities. But if we did come down and lose the bull market support band, I always try to look at the bright side. Always look at the positive, right? You want to, you know, keep your expectations in check, but also, you know, have a sense of reality if we do come down there. And if that is the case, we would have a 1, 2, and then a massive 1, 2. And if that's the case, then that means that wasn't the third wave, but rather we are going into the third wave. And if that's the case, then we are going to be extremely impulsive, and I wouldn't, I would suggest probably between that $5 and $10 area, maybe even higher, right? Because a lot of times these 1-2-1-2s get really extended, and we can actually pull the fib on that just for fun. Let's see here. Let's say we didn't bottom, and here's the bottom here, right? We come all the way to the top, and then here's the bottom here, right? So if that's the case, then we're looking at $5.80 to $6.41, and that's kind of how I would see it. So if I pull it down lower, obviously the targets will be lower. However, I would actually pull it from down here, since it would be like a 1-2-1-2, right? And then I would come down to about right there. And it's about, I guess you can say the same when you pull the fibs around that $5 to $6 area. But again, if we do break the low, it could be a beautiful 1-2-1-2 opportunity. And then also, who doesn't love a back test? If we come down here and back test $1.30, $1.45, that would be pretty amazing. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Again, a couple days ago, or I think yesterday or the day before, I said probably not. I think the low has a very good chance at being in. Again, we did have the liquidation. We do have the fractal. We do have a 3-wave move. We do have a lot of good things here. I mean, even looking at Ethereum, right? We came down 1, 2, 3. We hit the bull market support band, right? And I know the ETFs are launching over there in Hong Kong. I don't know how much of an impact that would be. I know there's a ton of people over there, so hopefully, they all buy it up, right? And then we also have, the fractals too. So things are looking good for a reversal. The only problem we have, right, would be Bitcoin not getting down to the bull market support band. But again, when I look at this price action in here and I compare it, right, to that fractal that we had, and by the way, that is a pretty engulfing candle. We if we do come down, we want to come down correctively. So you see how we came up correctively, we want to come down correctively. If we come down impulsively, then we probably will tag it. But if we do tag it, hopefully it's just a wick and nothing more. But that fractal I showed earlier, if we go back in time, we can see what happened during that phase and look where the bull market support band was. We can see right here, this is where we were at. You can see where, the bull market support band is definitely pretty far away. So, here's the correction here. We came down for A, right? And then we came up for B. And then, or actually probably a WX, and then we came down for Y. Here's the low. We barely took out the low, just like what we're doing now. And then we sort of curled over, and then boom, we had that impulse, right? Then we came down, we back tested that breakout level, we held support, and then we continued rocking to the upside. So that's what we really want to see. And that's kind of the direction. And then you can see with this fractal, right, we had what? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? So we had 5 waves to the upside. And when you look at this fractal, the first one I shared, basically flipping it upside down, we also have 5, right? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So, and with an extended 5th. So, it would imply that Bitcoin has one more wave to go, right? Basically the 5th wave, if this is the 4th wave. So that would mean like, okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then it's probably over. We go into distribution, and then that's it, So, but I think it'll take a lot longer than that. If this gets even bigger, then that means it's definitely a 4th wave, because it could still be the 4th of the 3rd wave. For example, we have 1, 2, you could say all of this is 3, 4, and then 5, right? Then we go in that 5th wave, and then we go into wave 4, which would be longer than this, and then we get that wave 5. So it would just prolong that situation. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, we found a bottom, and we bounced, and now we're trying to find some support. So if this is a 1-2, then that would be, not financial advice. Remember, nothing I say is financial advice, but that would be a good potential buy the dip situation if we come down and it has a nice 3-wave shape, right? Something like a nice 3-wave shape. We're somewhere down here on support, right? We have an impulse, another 3-wave pullback, right? I mean, that would be a good potential trade setup for a long opportunity. So yeah, we'll see how that plays. I mean, looking at some coins like Dogecoin, it could be, like I said, like a running flat where you have an A, B, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't test the bull market support band, but we didn't also break the low. And then we come up like this. It could be creating some type of inverse head and shoulders here, right? Where you have a shoulder, a head, and you're starting to, maybe we go down a little bit more, create that shoulder. Here's your neckline, you break out, you back test, you continue going higher. Because a lot of, the idea is to get back in this box up there, around that 18-cent mark. So the other idea, and I'm just kind of not highlighting Doge, but just giving you an example of what some of these charts look like, right? Coming up here, and then we could potentially come back down and either test it or make a higher low. So they're all kind of telling the same story. So, I mean, you can see we're starting to head on down here. Let's see the 15-minute chart. That was a pretty tight move. We were looking pretty good in here yesterday for a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. But, when we came down, we moved up in 3, and then it got rejected. You could tell it was faking out. But then also what you can tell too is how it's sort of ascending. When you're ascending like that, it's kind of like a bearish channel, I guess you could say. So if this channel was kind of going downwards, then you would have a more likely, break to the upside. But, when did we bottom? We bottomed about 2 weeks ago, and ever since then we've been, sort of trending upwards in a lot of these coins. So, and then, again, with the price of Theta, it appeared that we had this sort of this diagonal here, right? This sort of rising wedge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We come down, probably come back up, and then finish it off. And I would be nice to hold above this low. I would be nice to hold above 220, right, before setting up for another high. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the price of Theta. We'll see how that goes. Let's look at Theta Fuel. Let me look at XRP versus Bitcoin first. You know, XRP versus BTC is still looking pretty good. I mean, you know, we just had a bullish engulfing candle, the last 4-hour candle that took out these highs when the rest of the market was dumping. So you can say, well, who cares about XRP? It's not about that. It's about the altcoins reclaiming dominance against Bitcoin, right? So if I look at Theta versus BTC, I'll take a look at that in a moment. But essentially, right, you have this descending triangle. We broke down. We're starting to, you know, curl out like this and then potentially break out, flag, and then continue to go is kind of what I would like to see. We have a nice bottom here. A lot of times when you come down with the bottom again, a lot of times you come down and revisit that bottom, shake everybody out before going higher. But this thing is still rocking to the upside. You got an ascending channel here. So a lot of times these will break down eventually. But what I'm trying to emphasize is if Bitcoin did go down to the bull market support band, you can see XRP is still trending higher, which is good, which signals that we could hold the bull market support band for these altcoins. Because again, when you look at total 3, right, we don't want to, you know, we beautifully tested it. We don't want to break below it. We can come down and retest it, right? We could come down and retest it, but you know, as long as we don't break that low, it'll look good for a continuation. So here's the price of Theta versus BTC. Check this out. Kind of the same thing as the USD pattern, really. I mean, you can see the price coming up, and it was more like a falling channel here. Look at this. Look at that. It's kind of a falling channel where we had this deviation. We broke to the downside. We grabbed that liquidity here. You could see the downwards trend here. We broke it. We back tested the bull market support band. Grabbed the liquidity. Now we're back in the channel, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if we come back down, maybe test it here, and then continue to break out. It would be nice to break out, and we can have a shoulder, maybe a head, and another shoulder here. So that would be interesting to see. Why is this important? Again, it's about like kind of like an insurance policy if Bitcoin did take out the low. Now, it is looking a little bearish at the moment. Let me take that off here. We don't have any bearish divergence, which is good on the 4-hour, but I bet if I go to the 1-hour, we probably do. A little bit there. You can see how it's going down, price is going up. Not a big deal. But yeah, it kind of looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is a channel. And usually channels break down. We come down. We can back test here before continuing higher. So let's see how the day wraps up. If we got more downside, whatever. Let's see how the day wraps up. But honestly, I'm macro speaking, still looking very bullish. A lot of people are talking about HBAR, but nobody's talking about the market cap of HBAR. Look at the market cap of HBAR. It almost took out the high. I mean, that's some serious gasoline in the tank right there. I mean, you can see, I mean, it could be finished, right? We have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get 5, right? I mean, we're sort of in this rising thing here. You know, we could break down before going higher. I don't know about HBAR on the market cap, but it does appear bullish. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. When you compare that to the price of HBAR, I mean, here's the top. I mean, we're nowhere near the top, right? When you look at HBAR market cap, I mean, it's way up there, right? And that's probably because of the inflation that HBAR has. I don't know what that is, but, you know, what else could it be? If the price is down here, right, and the market cap is up here, then that means there's more coins in circulation here than there was back over here, right? So we did have a big pump. I guess that news was fake news. I don't know, or it was misinterpreted or something like that. But I guess something to do with BlackRock and HBAR. I don't know. I think it was, you know, debunked, or I don't know. Maybe someone knows more about it and they can let me know in the comment section. But the point is, you know, it happened a little too quickly, right? Because when you have these dumps in here and you break to the upside, right, you kind of want a little bit of time in between this cluster and the breakout. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. Kind of like how, you know, you have this breakdown here and the candles took their time before breaking out. It just created a little bit of a better structure. But to me, this was a news event, right? And, you know, we broke down and it sort of completed that fractal. So to me, like I said yesterday, we're probably going to flag out in here, right? Retest some of this support in here before continuing higher. HBAR looks good. There's nothing wrong with it. We're way above the bull market support band. We took out this high. I wouldn't FOMO into it. I would wait for a pullback or something. But yeah, looks pretty good. You know, some of them look very bearish though, like Chainlink. You know, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it looks like it's dumping. It just looks like it wants to come down and retest the breakout area before going higher, right? That's kind of what it looks like to me. So what that would be, right? What that would be is a retracement. So, you know, a lot of coins haven't met their retracement. Well, we have a rise, we have a crash. We built our base, our Wyckoff structure, right? We break out, and either this can flag out and continue higher, or we're going to go down into reaccumulation, go sideways for a little bit, right, before breaking out. What else could it be? Just kind of give us, you know, a broad sense of what the market is telling us. For example, let's say I hold Madic and I don't care about Chainlink. But if Chainlink is giving a bullish signal or a bearish signal, then you kind of want to know what all the charts are saying. So could it be a flat? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3. Come back up. So boom. It could be 1, 2, A, B, C. But I mean, this has 5 waves in it. It doesn't look like that. I mean, it could turn into that. We'll have to see. But Link seems like it's got some problems. I mean, I can easily see this forming. You know, we come up with a shoulder, a head, and it could come up and create another shoulder, right, before breaking to the downside, which would be approximately back all the way down to, there we go. Actually, let me just zoom out so we can see. Oh, look at that. Right down to the back test area. Isn't that funny how that worked out? Now, it's not for sure, but if Chainlink is giving this message, then that could mean that the rest of the market, that's like a point for the bears, right? We have some points for the bulls, we have some points for the bears. But if this occurred with Chainlink, then that means Theta, XRP, they would probably all continue downward. So maybe Chainlink is telling the story. We'll keep an eye on it. But, let's look at Madic here. Madic and Link look bearish to me. They have 1, 2, 3. You come down, you have 1, 2, 3. It's very corrective, right? It could be a triangle, A, B, C, D, E, and that's kind of the big thing that I would think about, right? A, B, C, D, and now we're getting that E for the ending of the triangle before breaking higher. So we have a low, we have a higher low, we want to make another higher low. Solana, this thing just went, we have a big impulse, and now we are in the middle of the retracement levels. So the important thing is, Solana definitely is a big leader in the crypto space. So, if Solana can break out, if Ethereum can break out, the altcoins, they can lead the way. But, there's always the chance that we go into reaccumulation, right? We had, look at Solana. We went this huge bull run. From pennies all the way up to, over $240. We had a big bear market, and now we have a retracement. So we have a rise, crash, base, retrace, come down. We could come down for reaccumulation, go sideways in here before breaking out. Sort of like a cup and a handle, right? So a lot of times when you get a big cup, we cup into resistance, you pull down into a handle, basically into reaccumulation. So if that occurred, what would that mean for something like, XRP or some coin that doesn't have any resemblance of that type of price action? Well, the good thing about it is it's already so, oversold, right? That, we haven't broken out of any of the tops here. We could have, that fractal here where we break below, we grab that liquidity. But essentially, it would look something like this. If Solana did come down, this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2 to the downside. We get 3, 4, 5. You pull back up, and then you have one more flush to the downside, right? Which would finish out that low. This is, taking out all this liquidity before swooping out of there pretty fast. And that's kind of, what it would look like, in my opinion. Now, when I look at coins like Algorand, they're still hashing out their base. You could see a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder. We're starting to develop a base in here. So the top to the bottom to the top, we could come down and retest 50% before breaking higher. We did have this big impulse, so we probably are working on, a wave 2. So a wave 1, now we're working on wave 2. Is wave 2 finished? Well, it seems probably not. So, definitely some mixed signals in here, but it does have that look like that fractal where we came up, right, in this flat A, B, C, in the triangle. We want to swoop up, flag out, and then continue to break out. Because you have a high here and a high here, so it's got this resistance line we got to break. Otherwise, it could be a drive, and a drive. So that would be 3 drives to a high with, let's see, is there bearish divergence? Yeah, so you could start to see the bearish divergence. Not strong at all, but slightly there. So we'll keep an eye on it. But, you know, when I look at something like BNB, we need to probably get back down here at some point. It does have a nice three-wave shape, 1, 2, 3, and we are floating up here near the top. So it wouldn't surprise me we get another hit to the high. And then it all circles back to Bitcoin. So looking at the Bitcoin market cap, it's currently at $1.25 trillion. And the last thing I would say is, you know, this rising wedge here did break to the downside. So I would expect at least a three-wave move. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll see what it looks like tomorrow. We don't want to, you know, if we do break the low, we do, whatever the case may be. But honestly, if we did break the low, it would speed up this correction probably, right? Meaning like, you know, it would be unequivocally an ABC, boom, 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 with a complete 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a test of the bull market support band. There's no question about it, right? But if this comes up and makes a higher low and then we start to inch our way back up, there's always that possibility that this can turn into, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Or 1, 2, and then 3 back to the upside before getting 3 down. So I don't think that's the case. I think, you know, let's just try to keep it simple and see what tomorrow brings. But to me, I see a three-wave shape coming in here, a higher low being presented, and with a continuation back to the upside. So that's sort of my main idea, and we'll revisit that either tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. But I mean, check out some of these fractals if you haven't seen them. Like here's QNT and BTC on the bottom. Pretty interesting. And then here's the XRP fractal I took a screenshot of a while back, and it's still, you know, on track. It's still looking very good. I mean, we're about where that green line is at the moment for XRP. Then you can see, right, Theta hitting the bull market support band, and you can see Bitcoin doing the same thing as well, right? So kind of a wait and see situation. I still really like this fractal here, comparing XRP to the previous reaccumulation range. It's looking very good, and you can see, look what happened here. We bounced up, right, and then we came back down, right down in here, right? So this was a screenshot from earlier, but basically we bounced up to about 55, and now we're pulling back down. So a lot of bullish signs still. Here's just another look of it. Here's another chart somebody posted. Yeah, I like that representation of where we are. It's looking pretty good. You can compare it to down there. So yeah, I mean, the only thing that's missing is some volume and a big price breakout, right? As soon as we get hash out this bottom, you know, again, the bottoms come down, right? They have a big bounce, and then they sort of wane down. And it could take a while for it to wane down. But once it finds some support, a higher low, or even wick down to the bull market support band with some of them, then you really want to accelerate that into an impulse wave. Here's another chart, right? DXY, XRP, you know, bullish signals all over. But we do have some charts that don't look so nice at the moment, but things can definitely turn around. So here's another one, the Bollinger Band width. I think this is for XRP. And you have the whales, right, the miners. You can see the orange line came up all the way to the top. You can see we're still way down there. Here's another chart somebody shared. I don't remember who it's from, but shout out to whoever did it. Yeah, we can see the golden cross. I think this was taken a little while ago, but essentially it's more matured now. But yeah, that should do it for today's video. If you guys could hit that like button, that's always very appreciative, and drop a comment. And if you have any coins you want me to take a look at for the next rapid fire, you can go ahead and leave it below and let me know what you guys think. Are you guys bullish? Are you guys bearish? Do you think we'll test the bull market support band for Bitcoin? Do you think a lower or a higher low should be coming soon for the alts, or do you think they could possibly break below if Bitcoin has to go take that course? Or do you think the fractals will, continue to hold true and suggest that, we're just hashing out this final wave and we should be on our way soon? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to support the channel, you can always do so through the YouTube tip jar. Very appreciative. And until next time, I will catch you guys in the next one. But make sure to subscribe if you haven't. That way we don't miss any updates, because I got some interesting things lined up in the not too distant future I want to share with you guys. So don't miss it. Anyways, take care, guys. Cheers.